Hopefully, another useful resource for your IB business management studies. Focusing on the Business Management Toolkit 2024 exams, in this instance, decision trees. A decision tree is simply a tool which allows you to make decisions. It's a mathematical model, and there's a simple method to the construction and subsequent calculations, and it's given here in this diagram. So you start off with a square, draw lines from the square, annotate the lines, they're the decisions, cost of those decisions. At the end of those lines, draw a circle, probability nodes are called, put a number on them, two lines from the probability nodes, success, failure, or whatever else is given in the question. Remembering that probability adds up to 1. Often they'll give you the probability of one outcome, expecting you to understand probability adds up to 1. At the end of that line, put the expected revenues. Now, so you've worked left to right to draw it, then you work right to left, simply carry out the calculations. Now, we do have a worked example here from a past IB exam question used in their specimen paper from some time ago, which is one of the most difficult I've ever come across in my IB experience. Before we go on to the exam question, take a quick look at the notes we have here. Terminology is important, so difference between expected value and net gain. So decision to be made in the square, increase sales. One of the options, loyalty scheme. Cost of option, probability of success, failure, subsequent revenues. And then as the calculation shows, work right to left and you'll come up with a net gain, and whichever option gives you the highest net gain is the option on numerical basis is the one you select. Inevitably in the question, it's the quantitative skills they're testing of drawing the diagram, calculating and making a decision on which option to take. But you also need to look at the qualitative factors and also evaluate the technique as how useful it is as a decision-making tool for your business. The evaluation is relatively straightforward. Probabilities can be adjusted to scenario plan, etc. Risk is not minimized. Basically, technique is a starting point. It's not the whole answer. Look at other factors. Try and look forward, steeple what's happening in the outside world. Now, here is the past IB question. And as I've previously said, it's the most difficult one I've ever come across. So if you can master this, you should be able to deal with anything they throw at you in the exam. So giving you the scenario, have a read through that in your own time, then giving you all the data you need. Note for option 1 and option 3, there are sub-options A and B. That complicates the diagram. Now I'm going to move on to the actual mark scheme, the answer, and I'll talk you through that and how to lay this out. Suggestion is that you turn your page landscape in the exam. Draw the diagram following the technique. Square, you have 3 options, 1, 2, and 3. Option 1 and option 2 have a sub option to them. Note how the diagram changes. So yes, you've got your probability node and you've got your probabilities, but then it breaks down into the sub options. Now, if you've got the diagram laid out in that fashion, the calculation should be relatively straightforward. But note for option 1, it's got EV1, EV1A, EV1B. If you're working through the numbers, you have to calculate, so multiply revenue by probability, looking at EV1A. Add them together and look how that then gets inserted into the EV1 calculation. So EV1A, you've got 3.3, EV1B 7.1, and that's inserted in to be multiplied again by probabilities. So the process is identical. Left to right draw, right to left calculate, but it's revenue multiplied by probability. Add them together. Being here, the sub options you've added together, the initial outcomes, and then you multiply that by the subsequent probability. So look again at reliability of the technique. If you have sub options, you've got different sets of probabilities going on. So again, how reliable is your outcome? IB will expect presentation as well. So for example, there's a key. Recommendation is you always show your key. You lay this out neatly. You have to make a statement. Here, country X option 1 is the best option. Any rejected options have 2 dashed lines put through them, i.e. option 2, option 3. Now you need to take some time practicing the technique, left to right drawing. Can you see the logic of the way the diagram is broken down? Then right to left, multiply, add, okay, multiply again in sub options, then subtract cost. Right, move on to the mark scheme. Make sure you can actually look for the traps they have set for you. There were 8 marks available for answering this question. So the mark scheme is broken down here, 5 to 7. So decision trees accurately constructed, calculations are correct and well presented. For 7, workings are shown. So always show your workings. Now, an important point here is the last comment. Apply a candidate own figure rule throughout the response. Now, the own figure rule is if there's a calculation and a mistake is made, an arithmetical error is made. So on EV1A, you've multiplied incorrectly on just one of the components. That obviously throws the whole calculation out. It'll be incorrect. But if an examiner can see where you've made the mistake, so you've carried forward an incorrect figure into the subsequent calculation, but you've carried out the calculation correctly, i.e. you understand what you're attempting to do, they'll penalise you once and once only be 1 mark. But for 7 out of 8, okay, key is provided, workings are shown. So again, presentation. For the additional 1 mark, they required a 1-sentence statement identifying the best option for SP. Okay, nothing more. So here is the traps that IB are laying for you. Okay, 1 mark here, 1 mark there. You are losing. Okay, grade boundaries very close together. Okay, so be precise, be neat, laid out landscape. Okay, follow it across. Okay, calculations, following the lines down. Follow the technique. This works. Left to right draw, right to left calculate. Look out for the sub options and how they are broken down and how it impacts on the calculation. If you follow the advice, to be quite honest with you, all the years we've been teaching this, this never fails with mark schemes. Right, good luck.